and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
Boy, this is a busy week for us because we're taping like 3 days this week, so we're working hard for the money, which we're not getting much of. But rumors have it that a certain city employee could quite possibly have made some money on this insurance thing that happened. So we're currently investigating that, and that certain city employee has not wanted to take my calls or return them. So I'm wondering what's going on there. I don't want to get into it myself, but I think that my cohort in crime, part of the unholy trinity, may indeed want to get into that a little bit. So I'll turn the camera over to my friend and colleague here, Chipper, and you can let us know what dirt has been absconded from.
Well, we had an insurance advisory committee meeting yesterday, and at that meeting, I was surprised to learn, we'll give you a little background. During the process of transitioning healthcare plans, there were a lot of erroneous figures, and there were a lot of problems with numbers, and the result of that was one of the individuals who the city hires as a consultant has been let go, and they've sent another consultant from that company down to act as a consultant. But because we have a new person on board, they allowed one of the members of the IEC, the chairman, Mr. Joe Castro, to attend a meeting where we talked about the stop-loss insurance, which is basically an insurance policy we take on the healthcare plan to help cushion the blows of catastrophic injuries and major healthcare bills. We buy an insurance policy which says once an individual's medical bills exceed $175,000 or $200,000 or whatever figure you decide on, you will then be compensated after a deductible by the insurance company. So we routinely get money back with that. It's a good and prudent thing. But what was a little startling to me was during that discussion, it was said that Perry Long brokered the current stop loss. So my question was, well, is it our Perry Long? And the answer I got was yes. And then I said, well, how did he manage to be involved in something? Did he get a commission? If so, what was his commission? What is a city employee who probably gets city health care in addition to the great raises he's got over the past few years he's been employed? Why is he involved in this issue? Is he working a side job while on city time? Is he even qualified to do this brokering? And also, did we go out for bids? Because amazingly enough, now when they checked with some other people, we can get the insurance cheaper.
Oh.
So did the city again not bother because someone who was politically connected was involved in the process? We know that there's always a lot of insider trading. We had the what's her name, Martha Stewart, go to jail for that. But I guess it's only if it's on a grand scale. I guess if we do it on a small scale, that we allow people to get away with it. So I made a call today to a city councilor. I got off the phone with City Councilor Dan Rigo, who I feel has proven he's not afraid to stand up and check. And I asked him to check into it. Actually, just before the show, I was on the phone with him, and he said he's going to call the city administrator. We're going to try to get to the bottom of this story. But we will get to the bottom of it. We will give you the complete story and all the facts once we uncover them. But we want to let you know that we're working on this. And this, again, is a symptom of the problem of the city of Fall River. There's never an attempt to tighten our belts or to even do things remotely the right way. How can we take something like health insurance and not try to find the best prices, whether they be for healthcare plans, prescription drugs, or stop-loss insurances? regardless of what it is, we should be looking to get the best bang for our buck. But we don't. Why? Because it's not Mayor Flanagan's buck, because it's not the city council's buck. It's our bucks they're spending, and they don't care, because when they run out of our bucks, they just tax us more and increase our fees more. And that's why we have to stop this.
Well, you know, it's very interesting that you should say this because, number one, if he's brokering an insurance plan, he has to be licensed by the state as an insurance broker. And if he's paid a commission for brokering this plan or for selling this insurance plan, again, he has to be licensed as an insurance broker. So one of the things I'm going to make sure that I do today when I get into some more research on this topic is to see if Perry Long has an insurance broker's license. And if he does, what is that license for? And why wasn't that disclosed to us at another time? The other thing is, anything over $5,000, I believe, has to go out for bid, or $10,000, one of those numbers. And where was the posting for that? Where was that RFP? I don't know. I didn't see one. I kind of watched that. Although the mayor's office has kept us off their radar for notifications of press conferences and whatnot. And another memo will be sent to their office about that. But, you know, you have to ask yourself, how come it's okay for everyone else to break the law, but not us?
You're right. And along that line, this is a multi-million-dollar contract. It's not a small contract. It's a multi-million-dollar contract. And the other thing is, by law, by statute, Chapter 32B, the Insurance Advisory Committee is supposed to be informed of any changes or anything that has to do with the policies, with the insurance policies. And part of that, the stop-loss negotiations, we should have been informed of it. And ironically enough, when that was discussed yesterday, nobody had ever heard the name Perry Long before yesterday. And the fact that he was in the process, which is a problem, again, with the lack of transparency for this administration. We are, as city employees and retirees, we are shareholders in these plans. We pay 25% of the bill. Granted, we don't have the majority vote since the city pays 75%, but we do pay. And if you own 10 stocks in a company, you're still a stockholder. And you still have some say, granted, and you still get the same information that the major stockholders get.
Well, you know, we looked into Perry Long a while back and his pay raises. And I met with Michael Dion, who I have a great deal of respect for. And he justified every raise that Perry Long got. He says the amount of work that Perry does for the other grants besides the CDA grant, it does have an administrative cost attached to it, which somebody should get paid. And Perry is only getting paid a portion of those administrative costs on those grants that he's doing a lot of work for. Does Perry do a lot of work? I would have to say he probably does. But I also know that he has unpaid interns that go out and make appearances on his behalf. How long that's going to last, I don't know. But it's also nice to have somebody who can go out and make appearances for you at various neighborhood meetings and whatnot to be there for you when you can't or don't want to be. And now you're making a commission, or excuse us very clearly, allegedly making a commission for allegedly brokering a insurance deal. So we're going to say allegedly because we don't know yet, but it's going to be make for interesting conversation, seeing that, as usual, the Herald News doesn't report on this. And that's why we're here, to report on the stuff that nobody else wants to talk about.
And that brings up another good point. You had a meeting with Mr. Dion, and Mr. Dion justified it. Well, you know, we can justify anything. But the fact is, that's where I have a problem with where we're going, the direction we're going in this city. Now, Perry Long was hired as a neighborhood liaison, coordinator, whatever you want, a euphemistic title you want to give him. neighborhood associations were fine before we had a liaison. Now he's getting grants. As far as I knew, CDA got grants before he was there. Somebody was doing it. Why are we increasing the number of people when we have no money? And why are we paying him these salaries? It's easy to justify. Oh, yeah, he does a lot of work. He got this grant, he got that grant. Well, did they not get grants before Perry Long fell out of the sky and became the messiah of the grants for CDA? I mean, how did we manage to do business before when we had no neighborhood association coordinator, liaison, or whatever you want to call them? The fact was that the neighborhood associations walked into the mayor's office when they had an issue and dealt with the mayor. And I hear now that Perry Long, most of his job now was taking pictures of the mayor for his Facebook page and giving it to the other guy to upload to his Facebook page. So what is he really doing? How much time? I know they moved his office up right alongside the mayor. I know they're old school chums. So what are we doing? I heard that there was a confirmed sighting of the mayor in Rhode Island again. And from a very reliable source, his vehicle was spotted getting off an off-ramp in East Providence. And I don't know if they blew the horn and waved, but the fact is that he's been cited again. But this is the problem. You know, if you're a billionaire and you can afford to hire a maid for every room and 8 people to screw in a light bulb, that's fine. But this city's broke. And we continue to add these positions, and then what they do is they spend more time justifying it, and that just gets us back to that old adage, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. Well, we can justify anything. I can say, oh, he does a great job, he's gotten this grant. Well, the city's got grant writers, the fire department's got grant writers. We got duplication of redundancy and more redundancy. And the fact is, the financial condition that this city's in, we need a lean, focused government, a government whose primary duty is ensuring that every single dollar is delivered to provide public safety and education and trash pickup and essential services to the people, but we're not doing it. We're hearing about things like this, people getting backdoor commissions, allegedly. Why his name even came in the mix as a city employee is beyond me, but it did, because I was sitting at the meeting.
Well, the other thing is, you're talking about being lean. City Councilor and City Council Vice President Ray Mitchell came out and made a statement that for the 2016 budget, we need to stop making our budget lean. He doesn't want to have to lay off people. Councilor Mitchell, you're going to have to lay somebody off. And hopefully you'll start at the top of the pay scales, not at the bottom. People like lawyers who do not do any work, but instead farm it out to everyone else. People like associate directors of departments, which for some reason get notified when the drug tests are coming and are amazingly clean. We need to address these issues. And we need to address them very, very vehemently and very directly. Let's make sure that our departments have what they need, but not a dime more, and not a person more. And now to move on to the latest and greatest of the Fall River Pay-As-You-Throw Tea Party. They have started a boycott of the Pay-As-You-Throw program, and it hasn't even started yet. They are posting messages on what you should and should not do if you plan on boycotting the Pay-As-You-Throw program, such as making sure there is no mail and no junk mail in the trash, throw it in the recycling, that says where the trash came from. Stick it in a white bag and put it out in the trash. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but I'll tell you right now, remember, we've got cameras on you, and they have eyes in City Hall and at the city garage watching every bag that gets dumped into the trash. And Kenny Pacheco has changed his position several times that we're going to phase in the enforcement. Now the enforcement's going to start on Monday, August 4th with the trash program. And mailings are going to go out from Waste Zero. But you know, from what I'm hearing, and I'm going to give you this again as an alleged number, 22% of the city property owners either currently have or are privatizing their trash collection. So what does Kenny Pacheco do? He's going to beg the city council to put in an ordinance which requires the trash haulers to do recycling to even the field. Problem is, Kenny, they already do. One company in particular spent millions of dollars on building an automated recycling facility with single stream trash collection. They collect the trash and the recycling in one collection. It gets dumped into their automated facility with the blowers and the shredders and the movers and the shakers. And they have a 99% success rate with their recycling program. It's a lot better than what Fall River's doing. And they're cheaper than Fall River. So I don't know how you're going to do this. Because remember, people, with the adoption of pay-as-you-throw, waste collection is now an enterprise fund. That means, and let's make it clear, not one tax dollar can go into trash collection now. Not one trash dollar can go to pay for your bonds. So the bonds you have on all these trash bins now have to come out of DCM's solid waste management program, which you don't want to separate because you're insisting you can keep them separated, Kenny. I don't know if you can do that. I firmly believe you need to have a City of Fall River Department of Sanitation now. And every single cent that goes into pay-as-you-throw has to go into that Department of Sanitation. And every bond, every salary, every benefit, every piece of maintenance to every truck, every bit of gas, every hauling, every dumping fee has to come out of that pay-as-you-throw fee. And as was slipped, and I say this very clearly, slipped, and I will put it on a show if I have to. If I'm called a liar, I will put it on the show, that the way this program works in Brockton and other cities is to assess a property collection fee. Approximately $75. But we're not going to talk about that right now because we know that would definitely not make this program fly. But I'll tell you now, Kenny, and I'll tell you, Mr. Mayor, the City Council and I and Chip and many others are watching, because if we see one tax dollar, one dime from the city tax coffers go to waste management in any way, shape, or form, we will be sure to hold you accountable. No salaries can go to that. I better never see any waste management employees working on highways, hanging banners, or hanging Christmas decorations. This is what the mayor wanted. This is what you got. Live with it. And that is something that we need to know about. What do you think, Chip? You think it's going to work?
No. I think we will see increases in fees, increases in bags, increases in and because they're not going to raise as much money. As you said, the beginning figure is 22% of the population. I think after 6 months or a year of this, you're going to see 30 or 40% of the population with private trash removal. The other problem I have is that accountability and consequences in this community. Why is it that you and I, the taxpayers, you screw up, we're going to hammer you in the head with a fine, $300, we're going to have the trash Nazis knocking on your door, they're going to tell you you better get straight, or we're gonna give you a $300 fine. And if you don't do this, we're gonna do this. And there's always some kind of threat of consequences for you, the taxpayer, who's basically shouldering the entire burden of this community. Yet, CJ and I sit in front of the city council meeting, see treasurers who can't answer questions, see city administrators who screw numbers up, see attorneys who lose cases, who don't even handle cases, who don't write things down. We see gross incompetency by the highest level of our city government. Yet, what are the consequences for them? None. They get pay raises. I've never seen anybody. I've heard city councilors complain about the old refrain that we get. Well, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I'll have to get back to you. Well, I'm not sure about that, councilor. I'm going to have to check into that. Well, I think I'm going to have to rework my numbers. Well, let me get back to you on that. 110 grand, 81,000 for somebody out of law school. People working at the DA's office, they got caseloads of 30 or 40 cases, and they're making 35 grand. We got somebody walking out of a Rhode Island law school, $81,000. Only been here a couple of years. Doesn't pay a dime in taxes. Got a nice Rhode Island car with Rhode Island plates parked there every day. I tell you all, go down to the city hall, walk around the government center, check out the Rhode Island plates. You'll know which one it is. It's parked right there every day. This is the way to run a city. I don't know. I'm tired of it. We've been tired of it a long time. CJ and I are out there every day complaining, and they say, "Well, you guys are obstructionists. You're naysayers." We're not. We're realists. We stayed in this city when a lot of these people left. We don't have apartments in East Providence. I've lived here my whole life. I've got a house. I've been paying taxes for over 40 years. I've been paying for my house insurance. I've seen the value of my house go down as this city deteriorates around us. And we all know people who are living on $800 a month Social Security, who are getting their backs broken. But we see this parade of people in front of the council telling us that, hey, pay more taxes, stop whining, stop complaining. We're not complaining. We're just giving you the facts. The facts is, look, everybody complains about the federal government and how much they tax and spend and waste. Guess what? If you take the ratio of the amount of money in our budget and the federal government, we're 100 times more efficient at wasting money and creating bureaucracy than the federal government. So how do we change this? Get to the polls. Pay attention. Vote people out. Years ago, I was not a proponent of term limits because I felt that, look, if the people are dumb enough to vote these people in, they get what they deserve. But you know something? After all these years in this game, I realize that it's people like us, the people who realize what's going on, we're the victims. We're the victims of the voter apathy. People that say, there's nothing we can do about it, you can't fight City Hall. Well, people, we can. If we get 44,000 people to the polls and kick them out every couple years and show people that you can't waste our money, that we are holding you accountable, things can and will change. But they won't as long as you sit in your living room and complain, but not get off the couch and do something about it.
Well, that's very interesting that you should say that because we have 44,000 registered voters in Fall River, none of whom vote. It's like 12,000 people voted. Yay! 17,000 came out. Yay! You know, it's craziness. But I found out a little secret that many people didn't even know. Do you want to know why people register to vote in Fall River regularly? Because they can get a voter registration card from the city, which says they live here, which proves its residency. And then they take that over to the registry, and they get an ID saying they live here. Again, proof of residency. And then they use that to go down to the welfare office to get welfare, proof of residency. And they prove their residency for the colleges and the community college with these voter cards. Interesting, isn't it? But we don't require IDs to vote, so just remember that. And then people that have moved away and no longer reside in Fall River, and I'll get this one, this is the great one, require a letter requesting removal from the voter list and the city residency status. Otherwise, you still remain a resident. Can you believe that one?
Well, yeah, it's you know, but some of the absurdity is even greater because now with this new healthcare plan, they're requiring everybody to be in the HMO unless you live out of the city. And I asked the question during the negotiations. I said, so what you're telling people is that if you live in Florida 6 months a year, like many retirees do, that you have to actually change your residence in order to get the plan that covers you in Florida for anything except emergency. And they said, yes. So look at our city. We want to get people in here, yet we get the people who have lived here their whole life and still want to maintain a residence in Fall River. And we're basically telling them, hey, look, get out of town if you want a little bit better health care plan. I mean, it makes no sense. The things that are done in this city are just, you know, I mean, you could write a book, but then it would have to be on the fiction shelf because nobody would believe it.
I know. And, you know, here's the funny part, people. People have asked over and over, what does our symbol, what does our logo stand for? If you look in the corner, it's a scale with a pawn and a skull on it. Because when the pawns, that being you and I, don't do anything, the weight goes down. And what rises? Death. Thanks for watching. This has been Spindle City Straight Talk, and we're going to be coming to you live again. Have a great day.
Stay active.